We told you at the top of the show that our reputation as being one of the most bike-friendly places in the nation has its upside. It also has its downside. Cinda Seamon, life and safety educator for the town of Hilton Head, joining us. Cinda, 25,000 rental bikes on the island now, 10,000 more bikes owned by island residents. That's great news until one of them meets up with one of the thousands of cars on the island. Collision numbers are up, I can imagine.
That's correct. The more people, the more vehicles, the more bicyclists, the more pedestrians, the more chance we have of something happening.
Yeah, let's do our part to make it safer then. Let's start with the bikers. What can they do to help?
Okay, cyclists have to remember that they follow the same traffic laws as vehicles. They go with the flow of traffic, they have to obey all the stop signs and everything that a vehicle would do. If they're on a multi-use path, or the leisure paths as people will call them, it's really important to pay attention to those little teeny stop signs you see at driveways and intersections. A lot of surprise stuff coming out of there that people aren't aware of. Cars coming out of intersections and driveways that might be blocked by bushes. So it's really important that cyclists do pay attention to that. They need to make eye contact with the drivers. Make sure a driver sees them, especially at an intersection. That's our most dangerous spot. Something else you might want to think about as a cyclist: when a car is parked on a side street, what are the chances of that door opening unexpectedly? And it does happen. So they really have to be aware, pay attention to the laws, pay attention to the signs, pay attention to what's around them.
Something that I know is annoying to some drivers is bikers who, particularly like on 278, where there is a bike path, riding in the roadway anyway. What can we do about that?
Well, those people usually ride faster than they can on a leisure path, and that's why they do. And I know I've heard a lot of people comment on it, but they ride much faster, and they actually would be probably dangerous on a multi-use path. So they're usually pretty good about staying close to the side of the road, but that's another reason for vehicles to really pay attention, because we're seeing more of that today.
Okay, now those bike paths we talk about, leisure paths you call them, are also busy with walkers and joggers. How can pedestrians stay out of the way of not only cars, but the other bikes?
It's not so much of staying out of the way, but just being aware that they have to share that path. We don't want them to necessarily not be on the path, but they need to think about, don't walk down the center of the path. Choose a side so it's not a surprise when someone comes up behind them which way they're going to go. If they're wearing headsets, they're not as likely to hear somebody coming up behind them. Texting, not paying attention, kind of zoning out. Be aware, pay attention that other walkers are coming, joggers are coming, bicyclists are coming. They might come up from behind you, they might come up head on around a curve very quickly and meet you head on. So pedestrians, just be aware is the main thing.
Yeah, it's not just your path. And for those of us driving, just because we've got the bigger weapon doesn't give us all the power. What can we do to help?
Vehicles need to be really careful. Drivers need to be careful when they're making right-hand turns and left-hand turns. Remember, those cyclists are crossing when the crosswalk says it's okay. We tend to look for traffic maybe only one way, so it's important to look both ways. And be cognizant of the fact there might be a biker. I think we tend to look at vehicles, they're bigger, easier to see, and a bicyclists might be right up on us. Again, make eye contact with those cyclists. That will help. When we know that we see each other, it's going to be a lot better outcome. Yeah,
and again, they do have the right of way when they've got the walk sign there. You need to give them a little bit of room. That's right. For sure. All right, we're a gold level bike-friendly community, said so by the bicycle group nationwide. Does that mean we're doing something right, though?
We really are. When we first applied in 2011, we came in at the silver level, so we were already a little bit above. And to become a gold level, we have to really pay attention to our bike education, our infrastructure, our bike-friendly policies, and just our pro-bicycling attitude that we have on the island. That's what got us the gold designation. We're one of 25 in the United States.
And one of the very few on the East Coast. Cinda, thanks so much for the information. Cinda Seamon of Hilton Head Fire and Rescue.